All right, y'all, so welcome back to the channel, Blanton Dynamics. It's a new day. Today is Sunday, and that engine right there is getting ready to come out. So the engine itself is basically ready. I still got to get down there and pop up where the transmission was, and I need to move these hoses and lines and just tie them up out of the way. But other than that, I've got these 4 bolts right here, 4 here and 4 on the other side for the motor mount that need to come loose. I didn't put a jack on the back of it to hold the weight and go ahead and take those loose, because I've got to take those 4 bolts out, and then also, come on, focus, and then also that single bolt right there in the middle. It also has to come out, and then this whole bracket here will get moved out the way so that the motor can come up, because it's kind of tapered. I don't know if I can show y'all. Yeah, you can see, so you can see right here that it's tapered. So in order for it to come up, that whole bracket's got to come out the way. But once I get that part finished, I've got 2 big bolts right here, which I'm sure are going to be extremely tight. I'm going to have to use the 1-inch impact more than likely to get them loose. But first, before I remove those, I'm going to go ahead and do the back. Get it up on the jack. Get it on the jack and then take all that stuff loose. It's already 11 o'clock. I was hoping to have this motor out by 11 o'clock, but it is what it is. So let's get to it. Of course, I got flagged for copyright. I had music playing in the background and did not realize it was loud enough for the camera to pick up. So here's my janky chain system I have going on, and just showing you the key components that could have let go at any time. So here you see, from here, this is the fork that had all the weight on it. I've seen them break before, right here where my finger is, and then at the bottom. So where that hook is, all the way down to where it's all bolted up, I'm going to run a chain. When I go put this thing back in, to help hold a lot of weight. It'll definitely help a lot. It was a little sketchy, I'm not going to lie, but it is what it is. It worked. I got it out safely, and now I'm going to pressure wash all this frame is what I'm telling you. It's gross. Got a bunch of dirt in there, stuck everywhere. It'll make life a lot easier. I'm going to push it out and clean it. So the only real reason why I decided to pull the motor out is I didn't like how loud the engine was. It sounded like it had a bottom end knock. It was hard to really tell because the engine's so loud. So I just went ahead and bit the bullet. Spent $4,000 on a crank, rod bearings, main bearings, and the full gasket kit for the front cover and rear cover, along with the main crank seal front and back, and a few little odd and end things that just make me feel better in the long run. You know, probably to do it eventually anyway, but fair, I'll go ahead and do it now while I was already in the process. But I'll save the crank and get it machined eventually, and I'll have a backup for either this motor if I ever need it, or later down the road find another motor and maybe it needs it. So yeah, anyway, just showing here that I'm getting ready to flip this thing upside down. I'm gonna take those valve covers off and rotate it upside down. Alright y'all, so this is for all the haters. So what you see me here doing is I'm getting ready to put some wood on top of this thing. Now you can see the wood. Because I'm going to turn this motor upside down with the forklift. And I don't have the correct tools to do all this, so I'm just going to wing it. As you can tell, I'm just going to wing it. I put the wood on there because the top up there is slanted and I need it to be basically flat so I can turn this motor upside down and it'll sit on its own weight by itself and not be sketchy. So as you can see, I have an engine hoist on that other side, and I'm just going to roll it over. I have to reposition here to make it a little bit shorter so it can go all the way around. So yeah, if y'all can think of an easier way, let me know. But I mean, with basically a 3,000 pound block of iron and aluminum, I mean, what else you gonna do? I mean, as you can tell, it worked fine, and it's there. So if it works, right? I didn't break anything, and at the end result, I got it where I needed it. It's upside down now. I forgot to take the bridges out. They are all the same size as far as I'm aware of. None of them are gap different or none of that stuff. There's no shims or none of that stuff in there, which is good since I forgot them. They were just kind of falling out on the plywood here, and that's my fault. I just completely forgot about it. But yeah, anyway, I've got this thing turned upside down now, and so for the next 2, 3, 4 hours, however long it takes me, I'm going to be removing this front plate here, and once it's off, I will work on getting this rear assembly off, which is just a bunch of bolts. I mean, it's not anything crazy. It's not anything crazy. Should be pretty easy and simple to do. This thing is just aluminum. So basically, as you've seen, I had the chain. I probably could have put the chain like back here on these studs, but I don't want to rip so much weight. I don't want to rip the bolt hole or mess up the bell housing itself. So I knew the crank would hold the pressure. I knew the crank bolts would hold the pressure. I didn't bend anything. Everything's still fine. I did the same thing to the front. I just put 2 bolts in there, and that's what held the weight. When I flip it back over, I think I am going to use this lower piece here, this lower bracket engine mount, just so the chain doesn't get caught, because the chain did get stuck here. So I'll probably just put it here this time, or when I flip it back over, hopefully tonight or in the morning. But yeah, as you can see, I've already marked these. Now I got to clean it all back off and all that good stuff. So just in case I forget to tell y'all later, each main cap here is marked. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then, yeah, rod bearings. They are also marked. I can't remember exactly where they're marked at, somewhere in here. But I'm gonna get everything cleaned up, and oh, here they are. So they're scribed on the side. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. Yeah, so this is number 3. That's number 4. So these were scribed by the person that originally built the engine. Yeah, and they're only on one side. So you would match this number 3 cap up on this side of the number 3 rod, and 4 and 4, and 5 and 5, 6 and 6, obviously. But yeah, so I'm gonna get this stuff cleaned up. I'm not gonna record anymore right this second, because it's just simply removing nuts and bolts off of here, bolt on the back, and then I will record taking this stuff off, the rods and main bearings, and then pulling the actual crank out of this thing. So somehow I've got to get the crank over here. Here's the crank right here, brand spanking new in the box. And I've got on my engine hoist here, but obviously there's an engine in the way, so I can't roll the engine hoist over here to lower it in. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to get the crank and the hoist around over there and get it over here. And I will just use I'll probably just end up using this to lower it down into there. I'll just use
So anyway, I spent the last 30 minutes getting this front plate off, the front structure, and it is removed. So we got the whole thing is off, as you can see on my gears. There's the crank, there's the cam, and there's the front structure. So when the family was out here, I was already in the process of taking this off, and then Emma wanted to bring me a snack. Love that little girl. So yeah, this is where I'm at now. So the new crank does not come with this gear. So what I actually have to do is I have to basically take the torch, heat this gear up to slide it off. Not really happy about it, but it'll save me $2,000. I just have to make sure that this is timed to the crank. I watched a bunch of videos on it. It doesn't seem like it's super hard. Not something I'm excited about, but I'm sure I can figure it out. But anyhow, so everything I set at the top dead center, and it doesn't actually look like it's exactly all lined up. There's a mark here. It's a paint mark where someone had set it before, but the crank, the camshaft is set exactly where it's supposed to be, and the crank is exactly where it's supposed to be. And there is the little indicator there on the crank. It lines up with that tooth there. So when I put this stuff back together, I just have to line this up, and the cam has to line up on the front cover. When I put it all back together, it has to line up with a little notch. Let me show you the little notch. So that little notch, see that little nub there in between the two bolt holes? That is the notch for the cam gear. So that, as long as that lines up, easy. As long as that lines up, and this arrow, obviously I got to make sure that this gear is correct on the crank. But as long as all this stuff lines up, we'll be good to go. So that's what I've got to work on now, is getting this crankshaft out of here. So I'm going to go ahead and zip all of these main caps off, get them put to the side, and then I will work on getting all the rod bearing caps off, rod caps removed, and yeah, continue to keep moving forward. So I'm not going to record this. I will record going back together, just so I can tell you the torque specs and the process. But other than that, right now I'm going to tear all this stuff apart, and then I got to use the forklift to get it out of here because it's 430 pounds. And once it's out, start prepping for the new one.